As an evil cult grew in power, its existence posed a threat to the entire world of martial arts, so the Justice clans banded together to attack the cult's headquarters in a great battle. However, the battle left only the cult leader and a demon lord called Eubanian standing. The clan leaders accused the demon lord of taking out their messenger, who was sent to deliver an invitation to him. However, he argues that the messenger's life was taken because he harassed some female cult members. As clan leaders band together to attack Badian, he boasts that if he, a demon lord, cannot defeat the likes of them, he'd rather become a salted fish. 13 years later, we see that Batian actually turned into a fish. He hides when he notices someone approaching the temple, but it turns out to be our main protagonist. Called Renji his son. He warns Renji to not stay out too long, but Renji argues that the men in town are good people. However, Badian informs Renji that when it comes to cult members, they don't show mercy to anyone to safeguard Renji's future. As the next demon lord, Badian decides it's best to change his identity by gaining a hero's certificate, which can bring legitimacy to the demon clan awarded by the Martial Arts League. He reveals that he has already enrolled him in the Justice League Academy. Renji becomes so excited. Upon hearing this, he has to finish his enrollment outside. The demon lord then summons his psychic called Lee to act as his bodyguard in the outside world. As they head to the academy, Lee makes Renji carry him all the way by convincing him it's all part of the training. After finally arriving, they join a waiting line which is announced to be an inspection to ensure any cult members don't sneak in. Just then a boy is thrown out of the building because he has a cult character on his outfit. When he tries to explain himself, the chief guard called King knocks him out utilizing a German suplex, as he doesn't tolerate excuses. He then orders a disciple to take him to his execution. Renji and Lee freak out upon seeing the risks they are faced with, but Lee puts Renji's mind at ease, saying he doesn't have to worry as there are no cult marks on him. But suddenly there's an announcement that the demon lord's son is in town. They have a detailed description of him, including his outfit, so the disciples start picking on anyone wearing a similar dress. Renji is shocked to find out that his personal information had been leaked. Lee takes the initiative and transforms Renji into a beautiful-looking girl in order to hide his identity with this disguise. Kong and the guards are completely fooled, and they permit their entrance, none the wiser. Inside, Renji is shocked to see that Lee is also dressed as a girl. As Renji complains that his dress is too revealing, they are suddenly attacked by the director of the discipline department called Yu Mingju, who calls them cult scums. In the panic, they soon discover that Mingju's hostility is directed towards Lee, who looks barbaric. Despite his disguise, Lee plays along and tosses Renji towards her while revealing he is indeed a cult member. To protect Renji, she attacks Lee, who then defends himself with his sword. Renji can only watch as the two continue to battle each other. However, just as Mingju decides to get serious by using her Kai attack, the fight is interrupted out of the blue and all the distraction. Lee reveals that he is going away. On the other hand, Mingju is angry that Sion interrupted her fight. Although he ultimately saved her, Mingju is angry that his actions let me escape. As she leaves with Renji, Sion complains about needing some tissue, so Renji offers him his silk scarf to use. This kind act makes Sion fall in love with him instantly. After he leaves, it is revealed that Mingju hates men greatly, so she takes a liking to Renji, who she thinks is a girl. As they walk, she begins asking about his knowledge of cults and shows him a portrait of the demon lord's son, so Renji freaks out thinking he has been exposed. Mingju then begins revealing details about the demon lord's son. When she reveals that his name was not given, Renji finally relaxes after realizing he hasn't been discovered yet. After noticing Randy's state, she thinks of him as someone to protect. She then reveals she has the dream of catching the demon lord's son and executing him herself. At the venue of the entrance ceremony, Mingyu and Renji part ways. On the stage, Mingju welcomes the chairman, Master Fate, to give his speech. Shortly after he begins, everyone gets bored really fast and start to fall asleep, so he excites the crowd by making everyone affirm their hate for cultists as everyone choruses the Academy's mantra on cult hate. Renji realizes he is in a sheep among wolves situation. Shortly after, a figure representing Renji is raised up, so Mingyu fires an arrow that sets it on fire. Everyone screams in excitement, as that is the signal for the Fate Ball to be released. As everyone hopes to catch it, Renji moves away to escape the place in one piece, but before he can get out, the ball finds its way to his hand. Immediately he is taken to the stage and congratulated as the girl who won the Fate Ball Ninja reveals the winner has the right to get a gift from the headmaster, so an artifact called Kyandai is handed to him as the prize, adding that this artifact will permit him to get 10 years of the headmaster's cultivation, making the other students jealous. Next, she allows Renji to introduce himself and the sect he belongs to. Everyone is eager to know, however he is panicking since he doesn't want to be found out, so he says that he doesn't have a sect, disappointing everyone except the headmaster, who is already suspicious of him. Before transferring his cultivation, the headmaster suggests testing his cultivation aptitude. Renji surmises that his identity might be discovered, so he avoids the headmaster, but Master Fate is persistent to carry out the test, so Renji continues to run. When the old man finally stops from exhaustion, Renji begs to take his leave, but instead he is forced to receive a long-distance energy transfer which sends him flying from the headmaster. When Mingyu checks on him, he reveals that his body feels more relaxed than usual. At that moment, everyone discovers his chest implants on the floor as Renji freaks out. Everyone begins murmuring about his identity. Fortunately, Mingyu defends him by saying they should not make fun of him just because he is flat-chested. She tries to convince everyone present that Renji is a girl by getting intimate with her, and everyone then believes her since it is known that she hates men. Later, the pair arrive at a location where the placement test to determine the student's foundation would be carried out. Kang reveals the first round is to determine speed. For this, they are to run 50 laps around the stage. However, when the race begins, he tells Renji to do 100 laps. Renji asks why him, to which Kang reveals that he simply dislikes people without backgrounds. Shortly after, Renji finishes his 100 laps, but Kang doesn't believe it as he was so fast. When Mingyu arrives, she informs him that the headmaster's cultivation has made Renji stronger. The next round is a technical task that involves hitting the bullseye with a knife. Each student then begins throwing knives at the target at their own pace. When it comes to Renji's turn, he throws the knives simultaneously and hits the target. Everyone begins complimenting Renji, but Kang isn't the slightest bit thrilled, so he intentionally fails him. Mingyu tries to intervene, so Kang threatens to demote her if she continues to interfere. At that moment, an intruder arrives to disrupt the encounter. The intruder turns out to be a little girl called Bai. Reveals that she isn't going to acknowledge the test, and when Kang asks what sect she belongs to, she reveals that she is the heir of the Sunflower sect. Seeing his injustice, she challenges Kang to a duel. Despite shamefully admitting to failing the 2 rounds of the test, Kang then decides to play along with her since the next round is a power contest. The 2 fighters take their stance, but after a while she doesn't even move to attack. Kang then loses his patience and sends her flying. As she rises, everyone expects a comeback, but she surprisingly accepts defeat. After seeing her behavior, Kang remembers her father, who behaved cowardly like her in the past. He then begins mocking her and her father, making Bai very upset as her father is very dearly to her. As she defends her father, Renji sees that they've had similar lives, recalling times with his father too. When Kang decides to wrap up the duel, he uses a Kai attack, but it is suddenly blocked by Renji. Renji challenges Kang to a duel in hopes of restoring Bai his honor, so both fighters charge their Kai and Kang becomes the aggressor in the fight, and Renji focuses on evading all his attacks without fighting back. As the fight lingers on, Renji begins to regret his impulsiveness, as the Demon Lord warned him not to use his cult kung fu technique in public as his power would be too great. We then discover that when he was little he was taught different skills and techniques by the cult members. Also, during the final battle, some cult elders passed down their Ki to Renji before they were defeated by the Justice League. As a form of retaliation, the Dark Lord allows him to slap his opponents, and so he sends King Flying. Kang remembers that the name of the slap skill is called the World Oblivion Slap, and it is used by cult members. He deducts right there that Renji is a cult member, but before he can do anything he is tortured by lust, which is a side effect of the skill. After the battle, everyone hails Renji as a hero. Like for part 2.